Zora.
In a busy and lively market of Douala, Zora, a skilled tailor, was carefully selecting some fabrics for her sewing project. Nearby, Jiran, another tailor, was at the same shop to also buy a fabric. He noticed Zora as they both reached for the same piece of fabric. Their hands brushed, creating an instant connection that sparked the moment that would forever change the course of their lives. Their eyes met and both laughed at the coincidence. "Great taste," Duran remarked, smiling. Zora smiled back, her cheeks warming. "Looks like we have a similar taste." As they chatted, they discovered a shared passion for designing clothes. Zora was working on a new dress for a friend's wedding, while Duran needed fabric for his mother's birthday gift. They compared notes, offered each other tips, and laughed over their shared experiences of late-night sewing marathons. They spent the next hour together examining different fabrics, sharing stories, and exchanging ideas. The more they talked, the more they realized how much they had in common. By the time they had both chosen their perfect fabrics, they had exchanged phone numbers and plans to meet up at a nearby snack bar to continue their conversation. As they parted, Zora felt a flutter of anticipation. She glanced back to see Duran watching her, a warm smile on his face. It seemed the market had given them both more than they had come for. Fanka, Duran's younger brother, loved spending time with Zora in her tailor shop. Fanka was Zora's best friend. They often laughed and talked. Fanka supported Zora's dreams, but secretly nursed a desire for her. He loves her more than a friend. Duran loved to spend time with his brother Fanka at home. They lived in a simple, traditional Cameroonian house furnished with handmade furniture and decorated with beautiful art. Fanka was starting to feel something more than friendly love for Zora, which made things complicated. Zora walked into the dimly lit restaurant, her eyes scanning the room for Jiran. She spotted him at a corner table, dressed sharply in a navy suit, his dark hair neatly combed. He stood up as she approached, a warm smile spreading across his face. "Zora, you look stunning," he said, pulling out a chair for her. "Thank you, Jiran. You don't look too bad yourself," she replied with a grin, taking her seat. The waiter brought over a bottle of red wine, pouring 2 glasses before slipping away. Duran raised his glass. "To us, to many more evenings like this." Zora clinked her glass against his. "To us." As they sipped their wine, the soft strains of a piano filled the air, creating an intimate atmosphere. They ordered their meals and conversations flowed easily between them, punctuated by laughter and shared glances. Duran reached across the table, taking Zora's hand in his. "I've been looking forward for this all this week," he admitted, his thumb gently stroking the back of her head. "Me too," Zora said softly, feeling a warm blush rise to her cheeks. "There's something about you, Jiran. I feel like I can't be myself without you." He smiled, his eyes reflecting the candlelight. "That is how I feel with you, Zora. Like I can't truly be myself without you." Their food arrived, but they ate slowly, savoring not just the flavors, but the time spent together. Every moment felt special, every word meaningful. After dinner, Duran suggested a walk by the nearby river. The night was cold, and Zora shivered slightly. Without hesitation, Duran dropped his jacket over his shoulders. "Better?" "Much better," she replied, smiling up at him. As they strolled along the riverbank, hand in hand, the city lights reflecting off the water, Zora felt a sense of contentment washed over her. She glanced at Duran, his profile strong and reassuring. He stopped walking, turning to face her. "Zora, being with you feels right. I don't want this to end." Zora's heart swelled with emotions. "Neither do I," she whispered. Duran cupped her face in his hands, his touch gentle. "Then, let's not let it end." He leaned in, and their lips met in a tender, heartfelt kiss, sealing the promise of many more evenings to come. Fanka felt sad when he saw how close Zora and Duran had become. He secretly liked Zora, and it made him jealous to see her with someone else. Duran and Fanka, who used to be close friends, started arguing more, and this made things complicated for them. Fanka was feeling more than friendship love for Zora. In the busy ambience shop of Zora, filled with the scent of freshly cut fabric and the hum of sewing machines, Zora stood, flipping through fashion magazines. While waiting for her dress fitting, Fanka nervously approached, a folded note clutched tightly in his hands. "Zora," he began, his voice shaky but determined. "There is something I need to tell you." He handed her a note, his heart pounding with anticipation. Confused but intrigued, Zora unfolded the note and read Fanka's heartfelt words. In the midst of everyday life, he had finally found the courage to express his deep admiration and growing affection for her. Her initial surprise quickly turned into a mix of shock and anger as she processed the confession. "Fanka," Zora hissed, her eyes flashing with disbelief as she crumbled the note in her hands. "How could you do this now, of all times?" She glanced around the shop, aware of the curious glances from the tailors and other customers. Fanka's face fell, his shoulders slumping with regret. "Zora, I didn't mean to upset you," he stammered, reaching out as if to touch her arms. "Don't," Zora snapped, stepping back sharply, her voice trembling with suppressed fury. "We've been friends for years, and now You decide to drop this bomb on me in public? Her cheeks flushed with embarrassment and anger. I thought you might feel the same, Fanka muttered, his own frustration mixing with the pain of rejection. Zora shook her head, her tone softening slightly, but still edged with hurt. Fanka, I've valued our friendship, but I can't believe you didn't think about how this will make me feel. She turned away, bringing back tears, her heart heavily with the weight of their altered relationship. Duran goes to Zora's shop with a banquet of flowers, intending to surprise her. As he approached, he caught sight of Zora near the mirrors. Her expressions caught between contemplation and sadness. His heart skipped a beat as he noticed Fanka's note lying crumbled on the nearby table. Zora! Duran's voice crackled with uncertainty as he stepped closer, his eyes flicking between hers and the discarded note. What is going on? Zora turned, startled by Duran's sudden appearance. She hastily wiped away a stray tear, her heart sinking as she realized the misunderstanding that was about to unfold. Duran, it's not what you think, she began, her voice tinged with urgency. Duran's brow furrowed as he picked up the note, his jaws tightening with each word she read. Fanka confessing his feelings for you? His voice rose, disbelief and anger mingling in his tone. How long has this been going on? Zora's eyes widened in panic, her hands reaching out as if to explain. But Duran stepped back, his expressions hardening with hurt. I can't believe this, he muttered, the banquet slipping from his grasp to the floor with a soft thud. No, Duran, listen, Zora pleaded, tears now freely flowing down her cheeks. Fanka just told me, and I didn't. But Duran turned away, his shoulders tense and betrayal. I trusted both of you, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. And now? Zora's heart shattered as Duran walked out of the shop, leaving her standing amidst the fabrics and mirrors, the weight of misunderstanding and miscommunication heavy on her shoulders. In a quiet aftermath, the once familiar sounds of the tailor shop seemed distant and muted, as if mourning the fractured bonds of trust and love that had unexpectedly unraveled before them.